June Park sat alone in the ship's observation lounge, watching the stars stretch into lines as the Persistence dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The massive human vessel slowed as it approached Ilaria Station, a gleaming wheel-shaped structure that served as the main diplomatic hub in this sector of space. He tapped his tablet, reviewing his notes for the upcoming meeting. As the ship's xenolinguist, June was responsible for making sure humans and aliens understood each other clearly. It was a job he took pride in, especially since Earth had joined the United Galactic Council only 3 years ago. "Still studying?" Captain Hana Kim asked as she entered the lounge. Her uniform was crisp and her short black hair was neatly combed. June stood up straight. "Yes, Captain. The Ilarians have 7 different words for agreement based on the type of deal and how much they trust the other party." Hana smiled. "That's why you're on my team, June. I need someone who notices these details." She looked out at the approaching station. "This trade agreement is important. Earth needs those mineral rights." "I'm ready," June said. "But Captain, can I ask you something?" "Go ahead. Have you noticed how aliens never want to come aboard our ships? They always meet us on stations or their own vessels." Hana's smile faded slightly. "I've noticed. Command thinks they're being careful with a new species. We're still newcomers to the galactic community." "Maybe," June said, not entirely convinced. "But it feels like more than that." The ship's speakers came to life. "Captain, we're docking at Ilaria Station in 5 minutes." "Thank you, Lieutenant Min," Hana replied. "June, grab your things. Let's go make Earth proud." The meeting room on Ilaria Station was large and round. The walls were a soft blue color that seemed to change slightly depending on where you stood. 6 delegates from different worlds sat around a wide table, with Captain Hana and June representing Earth. Ambassador Telk of the Ilarian people stood at the head of the table. He was tall and thin with pale blue skin that matched the room's walls. His 4-fingered hands moved gracefully as he spoke. "We welcome our friends from Earth," Telk said, his voice musical. "The mineral resources of the Kelnar asteroid belt are rich. We believe this agreement will benefit both our worlds." For the next 3 hours, they discussed amounts, prices, shipping routes, and safety regulations. June carefully noted which word for agreement Telk used throughout the meeting. It was the one that meant mutual benefit with moderate trust. They finished reviewing the main points. Captain Hana spoke up. "Ambassador Telk, we've covered a lot today. Perhaps we could continue these talks aboard the Persistence? Our chef has prepared a special meal with dishes from Earth. We'd be honored to show you our ship." The room suddenly felt colder. June noticed how Telk's skin color shifted to a deeper blue. The other alien representatives stiffened in their seats. "That is most kind," Telk said, his voice no longer musical but tight. "However, I regret that an urgent matter has just come to my attention." He touched a device on his wrist that had not made any signal June could detect. "We must end today's discussion earlier than planned." Captain Hana looked surprised. "Is everything all right, Ambassador?" Yes, Telk said quickly. "A minor issue that requires my presence. We can continue tomorrow here at the station." He stood up, no longer making eye contact with either human. "If you'll excuse me." Within minutes, all the aliens had left the room, leaving Hana and June alone. "That was strange," Hana said, gathering her materials. "Did I say something wrong?" June shook his head. "No, Captain. Your phrasing was perfect. But did you see how they all reacted when you invited them to our ship? It was like you suggested we swim in acid together." Later that evening, June walked through the busy public areas of Ilaria Station. The space was filled with beings from dozens of worlds, talking, eating, and conducting business. Humans were a rare sight here, and many aliens glanced at him with curiosity. He spotted a familiar face at a corner table in the station's main eating area. Suk Lee, one of the Persistence's engineering officers, was drinking something bright green while working on a small device. "Mind if I join you?" June asked. Suk looked up and smiled. "Please do. I'm just fixing my personal communicator." "The station's signals interfere with it." June sat down and ordered a drink from a passing service robot. How's the engine maintenance going? Sook frowned. That's the strange thing. The station's maintenance crew gave us detailed instructions and all the parts we need, but they refuse to come aboard to help. They insist we do all repairs ourselves. Did they say why? June asked, suddenly interested. No. When I asked, they made excuses about being short-staffed or having other priorities. Sook put down her tool. But I saw at least 20 technicians working on a Centaurian vessel half our size. They're avoiding our ship. June leaned forward. It's not just here. I've been noticing this pattern for months, on every station and planet we visit. The diplomatic teams always meet us elsewhere. Trade ships use automated systems to transfer cargo to us. No one ever sets foot on a human vessel if they can avoid it. But why? Sook asked. The Persistence is one of Earth's finest ships. Clean, well-maintained with excellent life support for most known species. I don't know, June said, but I intend to find out. As they talked, a group of Centaurian traders walked past their table. One of them noticed June's uniform with the Persistence insignia and quickly moved to the other side of the room, pulling his companions with him. Did you see that? June whispered. Sook nodded. They're afraid of us, or something about us. June's drink arrived and he took a slow sip while thinking. Tomorrow we have another meeting with Ambassador Telk. Captain Hana wants to close this deal quickly, but I think there's something bigger happening here. Something no one is telling us. Be careful, Sook warned. If aliens are hiding something from humans, they might have good reasons. Or we might have a misunderstanding that's hurting our relations with the entire galactic community. June finished his drink. Either way, as a xenolinguist, it's my job to facilitate understanding. And right now, there's a big gap in our understanding. When June returned to the Persistence that night, he couldn't sleep. He lay in his small cabin, staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the times he'd seen aliens make excuses to avoid human ships. It wasn't just diplomatic uneasiness or cultural differences. He'd seen fear in their reactions. He made a decision. Starting tomorrow, he would begin a proper investigation. There was a reason why every species refused to board human spacecraft, and he was going to discover what it was, no matter how terrifying the truth might be. The next morning, June began his investigation by visiting the ship's library. He sat at a computer terminal and searched through records of all human-alien interactions since Earth joined the United Galactic Council. Computer, show me all instances where non-humans boarded Earth vessels, June said. The screen displayed his results. 0 instances found. June frowned. That can't be right. Expand search to all human ships, not just official Earth vessels. Again, the result showed 0 instances. According to the records, no alien had ever willingly boarded any human ship since first contact. Interesting, June muttered. He changed his approach. Show me all trade agreements between humans and other species. Display delivery protocols. As he read through dozens of agreements, a clear pattern emerged. Every single document specified that cargo transfers must happen via automated systems. Some agreements explicitly stated that alien personnel would not be required to board human vessels for any reason. June was so focused on his research that he didn't notice someone approaching until they spoke. Finding anything useful? Captain, Hana asked, standing behind him. June quickly straightened up. Captain, I think there's something strange going on. Did you know that no alien has ever boarded any human ship? Not once since we joined the Council. Hana's eyes widened slightly. That can't be right. She leaned over to look at his screen. Have you checked emergency situations? Rescue operations? Yes, June said. Even when a human ship rescued aliens from a damaged vessel last year, they used exterior docking and transferred the aliens to a neutral station immediately. This goes beyond simple caution toward newcomers, Hana agreed. Do you think they're hiding something from us? Or we're hiding something from them without knowing it, June suggested. I need help with this investigation. Hana nodded. I'll authorize it as an official research project. Who do you want on your team? That afternoon, June met with Mina Yoon, the ship's psychologist who specialized in interspecies communication. Her office was decorated with artwork from various planets, all depicting concepts of harmony and understanding. "So you think aliens are afraid of our ships?" Mina asked after June explained his findings. "Yes, but I don't know why," June replied. "You've studied alien psychology. Have you noticed anything in your interactions?" Mina tapped her fingers on her desk. "Now that you mention it, when I've discussed human ships with non-humans, they often change the subject. I thought it was cultural politeness, but maybe there's more to it. I need you to review your notes from all alien counseling sessions," June said. "Look for any mentions of human vessels or related fears." "I'll do it," Mina agreed. "And I know who else might help us. Du-Yun Kang in security has connections throughout the galactic community. If anyone can get aliens to talk off the record, it's him." Du-Yun Kang was a large man with a friendly face that made people trust him despite his imposing size. As chief security officer, he had established relationships with security personnel from many species. "You want me to ask my contacts why they won't board our ships?" Du-Yun asked when June and Mina found him in the ship's gym. "Yes," June said. "But casually. If there's a secret, we don't want to create a diplomatic incident." Du-Yun wiped sweat from his face with a towel. "I'm meeting a Centaurian trader for drinks tonight. He gets talkative when he's had a few. I'll see what I can learn." Later that evening, while June continued his research, Mina called him on the ship's communication system. "I found something in the diplomatic files," she said excitedly. "Several species have filed formal requests with the Council to exempt them from any regulations that might require boarding human vessels." "What reason did they give?" June asked. "They cited psychological distress and telepathic interference." The requests were quickly approved without questions. "Telepathic interference?" June repeated. "But human ships don't generate any telepathic fields. We don't even have that technology." "Exactly," Mina said. "Something about our ships affects telepathic species, but it's not something we're doing intentionally." As June was considering this information, his communicator beeped again. This time it was Do-Yun. "Meet me in the small conference room," Do-Yun said, his voice low. "I got something." Do-Yun looked uncomfortable when June and Mina arrived at the conference room. His normally relaxed face was tense. "I talked to my Centaurian friend," he said. "It wasn't easy. Even drunk, he didn't want to discuss human ships. But I kept pressing, and finally he said something strange." "What was it?" June asked eagerly. Do-Yun's voice dropped even lower. He said, "You humans don't know? Your ships, they scream." The room fell silent as they all considered this statement. "What does that mean?" Mina finally asked. "Ships can't scream." He wouldn't say more. Do-Yun replied. He got nervous, paid for his drinks, and left, but I saw real fear in his eyes. June paced around the small room. "Our ships scream? Not in a way humans can hear, obviously, but maybe in a way other species can perceive?" "Many aliens have sensory abilities beyond human range," Mina noted. "Some can detect electromagnetic fields, radiation, or subspace distortions that we can't." "We need to take this to Captain Hana," June decided. "This is bigger than I thought." The next morning, they presented their findings to Captain Hana in her private office. She listened without interrupting, her face growing more concerned with each detail. "If our ships are causing distress to other species without our knowledge, we need to understand why," she said when they finished. "This could explain years of diplomatic awkwardness." "We need specialized equipment," June said, "devices that can detect frequencies and energy patterns beyond human perception." "And we need to keep this quiet," Hana added. "If word gets out that we're investigating, it might cause diplomatic problems. Some species might think we've been deliberately causing them distress." "I know a Vexillian scientist who might help," Mina suggested. "They're known for their advanced sensory technology, and they owe me a favor." "Good," Hana said. "June, I'm making this your priority mission. Use whatever resources you need, but be discreet. If our ships are somehow harmful to other species, we need to know." As they left the captain's office, June felt a mixture of excitement and unease. He was closer to solving the mystery, but he wasn't sure he would like the answer. What if we discover something terrible about our technology? he asked Mina as they walked down the corridor. Then we fix it, she replied simply. Knowledge is always better than ignorance, even when the truth is difficult. Back in his quarters that night, June reviewed everything they had learned. Human ships somehow screamed in a way that terrified other species. The effect seemed to be strongest for telepathic races, but even non-telepathic aliens avoided human vessels. What was it about human technology that created this effect? And why hadn't any aliens simply told humans about the problem? As he drifted off to sleep, June realized there was only one logical answer. Whatever was happening was so terrible that aliens preferred to avoid the subject entirely rather than explain it to humans. The truth must be more frightening than he had imagined. Tomorrow, with the specialized equipment from Mina's Vexillian contact, they would finally discover what made every species refuse to board human spacecraft. June wasn't sure if he was ready for the answer. Very 2 days later, a small package arrived from Mina's Vexillian contact. The 3 investigators gathered in an empty lab on the lower deck of the Persistence to examine its contents. These devices detect energy patterns that humans can't normally sense, Mina explained as she carefully removed 3 silver disc-shaped objects from the package. Each disc was about the size of a palm, with a small screen on one side and several buttons around the edge. Dao-Yun picked one up. How do they work? The Vexillian said to press the center button to turn them on, Mina replied. They'll measure different types of energy: electromagnetic, subspace, and dimensional. June took one of the devices. Let's test them here in the lab first, then move to different parts of the ship. They pressed the center button simultaneously. The screens lit up with colorful patterns that shifted and moved. At first, the patterns were calm, showing mostly blue and green waves that pulsed gently. These readings seem normal, June said. Nothing unusual here. The lab is far from the engine room, Do-Yun pointed out. If our ships scream, the sound probably comes from our main systems. Good point, June agreed. Let's move closer to the engines. As they walked through the ship toward the engineering section, they watched the screens on their devices. Gradually, the patterns began to change. The calm blue waves were disrupted by flashes of red and yellow. By the time they reached the door to the main engine room, the screens were displaying chaotic patterns of bright, clashing colors. The readings are getting stronger, Mina observed. Something is definitely happening. Suk was working in the engine room when they entered. She looked up from her console, surprised to see the 3 of them. What brings you all down here? She asked. We're investigating something, June said, deciding to be honest with his friend. Can you show us the FTL drive chamber? Suk looked curious but didn't ask questions. She led them through the busy engine room to a sealed door at the back. After entering a code, the door slid open to reveal a large circular chamber. In the center was the faster-than-light drive, a massive cylinder filled with swirling energy that allowed the ship to travel between stars. As they stepped into the chamber, their devices went wild. The screens flashed with violent patterns, mostly deep red and bright white. The discs began to vibrate in their hands. This is it, June said excitedly. Whatever's causing the screaming is happening here. What are those things? Suk asked, pointing to the devices. June quickly explained their investigation and what they had discovered so far. As the ship's engineer, Suk immediately understood the implications. You think our FTL drives create some kind of effect that bothers other species? She asked. But humans can't detect it? Exactly, June said. Can you tell us how our drives work? The technical details might help us understand what's happening. Suk nodded and led them to a control panel near the wall. She brought up a diagram of the FTL drive on the screen. Earth's FTL technology is unique, she explained. Most species use quantum tunneling or wormhole generation for faster-than-light travel. But humans developed a different method called dimensional folding. What does that mean? Do-Yun asked. Our drives fold space itself, Suk said. They create tiny temporary creases in the fabric of space-time, allowing the ship to slip through them. It's like folding a piece of paper to bring 2 distant points together. Mina studied the readings on her device. And what happens when space gets folded? It creates microfractures in space-time, Suk replied. These fractures heal almost instantly, but the process generates ripples in dimensions that our instruments don't normally detect. A look of understanding crossed June's face. That's it. Our drives are constantly creating and healing these microfractures, even when the ship is just running on standby power. To species that can sense these dimensional ripples, it must feel like being in the middle of an earthquake that never stops, Mina finished. Or standing next to a speaker playing a painfully high-pitched sound that never ends. Suk looked troubled. But why didn't any aliens tell us? Maybe they thought, we already knew, Do-yeon suggested. Or maybe they worried about offending us by saying our technology is harmful. June studied the device in his hand. The readings were clear. Human FTL drives generated powerful energy patterns in dimensions that humans couldn't perceive, but most alien species could. We need to talk to an alien directly about this, he decided. Now that we have evidence, maybe they'll be more willing to explain. They found their opportunity the next day. Captain Hana had scheduled another meeting with Ambassador Telk on Alaria Station to continue discussions about the mineral rights agreement. After the formal meeting, June approached Telk privately. Ambassador, may I speak with you about a sensitive matter? June asked politely. Telk seemed wary but nodded. Of course, Linguist Park. June showed him the Vexillian device, which was currently inactive. We've been conducting research to understand why non-humans avoid boarding human vessels. This device helped us discover unusual energy patterns around our FTL drives. Telk's skin darkened to a deep blue, a sign of stress or discomfort among Alarians. I see, he said cautiously. Ambassador, I'm asking directly. Do our ships create sensations that are disturbing to your people? June asked. Telk was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. We believed you knew. We thought it was perhaps a defensive measure. We had no idea, June assured him. Humans can't detect these dimensional ripples. Can you describe what it feels like to you? Telk took a deep breath. Imagine being trapped inside a room where someone is constantly scraping metal against metal, screaming at the top of their lungs and flashing bright lights, except the sensations penetrate directly into your brain. There is no blocking it out. No relief. June was shocked. That sounds terrible. And this happens whenever you're near our ships? The effect grows stronger the closer we get, Telk explained. Simply being near a human vessel is uncomfortable. Being inside one would be, he shuddered visibly, unbearable. Why didn't anyone tell us? June asked. When your species joined the council, your rapid technological advancement impressed everyone. We assumed you developed this technology intentionally, as a defense against boarding. It seemed impolite to mention it, Telk said. And those who can sense dimensional disturbances most strongly simply couldn't bear to discuss it. Most species can sense these ripples, June asked. Yes. It's an evolutionary trait that developed on many worlds, Telk explained. Natural dimensional fractures sometimes occur near unstable stars or black holes. Species that could sense these dangers had better chances of survival. June thought about this new information. So human ships basically announce their presence in a way that triggers ancient alarm systems in alien brains. Exactly, Telk said, seeming relieved that June understood. Your ships constantly signal danger to our deepest instincts. We can override this with logic, knowing the ships are safe, but the feeling remains. Thank you for explaining this. Ambassador, June said sincerely. We'll work on finding a solution. As he walked back to the Persistence, June felt a mixture of excitement and concern. They had solved the mystery, but now they faced an even bigger challenge. How could humans modify their technology to stop torturing other species? And what would happen when Earth learned that its prized FTL drives were inadvertently causing other beings such distress? Captain Hana sat quietly in her office as June, Mina, Do-yeon, and Suk presented their findings. The room was silent except for their voices as they explained the discovery about human FTL drives. and showed the readings from the Vexillian devices. When they finished, Hannah leaned back in her chair and sighed deeply. So for 3 years we've been unknowingly torturing every alien who came near our ships. Not intentionally, June quickly added. We had no way of knowing. But they knew, Hannah said. They knew and didn't tell us. They just smiled politely and suffered through their discomfort. Ambassador Telk explained that they thought it was a defensive system, Mina said. They assumed we created it on purpose. Hannah stood up and walked to the window that looked out into space. We need to report this to Earth Command immediately. This affects all human ships and our entire position in the galactic community. What do you think will happen? Suk asked. I don't know, Hannah admitted, but this changes everything. 2 days later, June sat in the ship's communication room with Captain Hannah, waiting for Earth Command's response to their report. They had sent all the data, including Ambassador Telk's explanation and the readings from the Vexillian devices. The large screen on the wall finally lit up, showing Admiral Park, the head of Earth's space fleet. His face was serious. Captain Kim Linguist Park, we've reviewed your findings with our top scientists, the Admiral said. This is unexpected news. What does Earth Command plan to do, sir? Hannah asked. We're preparing a full report for the government and the public, Admiral Park replied. But I wanted to speak with you directly first. Your discovery has major implications. June leaned forward. Can we modify our FTL drives to reduce these effects? The Admiral's expression grew more serious. Our engineers have been analyzing the data since your report arrived. The dimensional ripples are not a side effect of our drives. They're fundamental to how the technology works. Eliminating them would mean completely redesigning our propulsion systems. Is that possible? Hannah asked. Possible, yes, but it would require massive resources and time, Admiral Park explained. Every human ship would need to be retrofitted or replaced. It would set back our space program by years, maybe decades. June felt a weight settle in his stomach. The solution wasn't as simple as he had hoped. The Admiral continued. However, we might be able to create localized damping fields in certain areas of our ships. These wouldn't eliminate the effect entirely, but could reduce it to levels that other species can tolerate for short periods. That's something, at least, Hannah said. There's another aspect to consider, Admiral Park added, his voice becoming lower. Our military strategists have pointed out that this unpleasant side effect of our technology has significant defensive advantages. June frowned. Sir? No boarding parties, no surprise attacks on our vessels, no intruders, the Admiral explained. Other species physically cannot bear to enter our ships without extreme discomfort. It's an unintended defensive shield. You're suggesting we keep torturing other species for tactical advantage? June asked, unable to hide his disapproval. The Admiral's face hardened slightly. I'm pointing out that we need to consider all aspects of this situation before making drastic changes to our technology. The Council has lived with this for 3 years. They can manage a bit longer while we develop solutions. After the call ended, June and Hannah remained in the communication room, both troubled by the conversation. He's thinking like a military commander, Hannah said finally. Protecting Earth is his job. But if we want to be true members of the galactic community, we can't keep causing pain to everyone we meet, June argued. Hannah nodded. I agree, but I also understand the Admiral's concerns. This won't be a simple fix. The next morning, June received a message from Ambassador Telk requesting a meeting on Ilaria Station. He found the ambassador waiting in a small private room away from the main areas. Thank you for coming, Linguist Park, Telk said. I wish to speak with you directly after learning that you've informed your government of our sensitivity to your ships. Man, was that wrong? June asked, suddenly worried. No, Telk assured him. In fact, many species are relieved that humans finally know the truth. The constant pretending was becoming difficult. I'm sorry we've been causing discomfort all this time, June said sincerely. Telk's skin shifted to a lighter blue, a sign of relaxation. What will your people do now? June explained Earth's dilemma, the enormous cost of replacing their FTL technology versus the option of creating limited damping fields. We understand this is not a simple problem to solve, Telk said. The Council has discussed offering technical assistance. Several species have dampening technologies that might help. That's generous, June said, surprised. Oh, but why would you help us? Because humans have proven themselves to be good neighbors despite this issue, Telk replied. You didn't create this problem intentionally, and now you're working to fix it. That matters to us. As June walked back to the ship, he felt more hopeful than before. The solution wouldn't be instant, but cooperation was possible. Back on the Persistence, June found Suk in the engineering section, already working on designs for damping field generators. The readings from the Vexillian devices are helping me understand what frequencies we need to block, she explained, showing him her work. It's complex, but I think we can create safe zones in parts of the ship. That's excellent, June said. Ambassador Telk says the Council might offer technical help. Suk looked relieved. We'll need it. This is beyond our current understanding of dimensional physics. As they discussed the technical details, Captain Hana entered the engineering section with a serious expression. Earth Command just sent new instructions, she announced. We're to continue our diplomatic mission while Suk works on developing prototype damping fields. They want us to explain the situation to all species we encounter and assure them that we're working on a solution. How? Are people reacting on Earth? June asked. It's mixed, Hana replied. Some are embarrassed that we've been unintentionally hurting others. Some are angry that aliens never told us directly. And yes, some military leaders are interested in the defensive applications. What do you think will happen? Suk asked. Hana considered the question carefully. I think we'll develop two classes of human ships. Some will maintain the standard drives for military and rapid transport purposes. Others will be specially modified for diplomatic and passenger service. A compromise, June said. Yes, Hana agreed. Not perfect, but a start. Later that evening, June sat alone in the observation lounge watching the stars. The mystery was solved, but the solution would take time and cooperation. He thought about the irony of the situation, humanity's greatest technological achievement, the FTL drive that allowed them to join the galactic community, also created an invisible barrier between humans and other species. The very thing that brought them to the stars kept them isolated. But now that the truth was known, that barrier could begin to come down. It wouldn't be easy or quick, but it was possible. And in the meantime, humanity had accidentally discovered the most effective defensive system in the galaxy, ships that no enemy could bear to board. June smiled to himself. Perhaps this wasn't the disaster he had feared. Perhaps it was just the beginning of a new chapter in humanity's relationship with the stars. 6 months had passed since June's discovery about human FTL drives. The Persistence had spent most of that time docked at Earth's largest space station while engineers worked on the ship. Today was the big test. June stood nervously beside Captain Hana in the ship's main meeting room. The room had been completely rebuilt with the new dampening field technology. Special panels lined the walls, ceiling, and floor, designed to reduce the dimensional ripples that caused other species such distress. Do you think it will work? June asked quietly. Suk says the test readings are promising, Hana replied. But we won't know for sure until our guests arrive. The ship's communication system announced, Captain, the Alarian shuttle is approaching our docking bay. Thank you, Lieutenant Min, Hana responded. June, let's go welcome our visitors. They walked to the docking bay, where Suk was making final adjustments to a portable dampening device. She looked up as they entered. This will help protect them during the walk from their shuttle to the meeting room, she explained, showing them a small silver box. It creates a bubble of reduced dimensional activity around anyone carrying it. Excellent work, Hana said, genuinely impressed. 6 months ago, we didn't even know this problem existed. Now we have working prototypes. With a lot of help from our allies, Suk added. The Vexillians and Centaurians provided crucial technical knowledge. We couldn't have done this alone. The external door of the docking bay opened and a small Alarian shuttle attached itself to the Persistence. After a moment, The inner airlock door slid open to reveal Ambassador Telk and two other Ilarians. Their blue skin was darker than usual, a sign of nervousness. "Welcome aboard the Persistence," Captain Hana said formally. "We're honored by your presence." Telk stepped cautiously through the airlock. His body was tense, clearly expecting pain. After a moment, his skin lightened. "Slightly. The effect is present but muted," he said, sounding surprised. "It's like hearing a loud sound from another room instead of right beside your ear." Sook handed him the portable dampening device. "This should help even more." Telk took the device, and his skin lightened further as the dampening field expanded around him. "Remarkable improvement," he said. "We can proceed." The small group walked through the ship's corridors toward the meeting room. June watched the Ilarians closely. They were uncomfortable but not in pain. It was progress. When they reached the specially modified meeting room, Telk's skin returned to its normal light blue color. "This room is quite bearable," he said, sounding genuinely pleased. "The screaming is reduced to a faint whisper." Captain Hana smiled. "Please sit down. We have much to discuss." The meeting lasted for 2 hours. It was the first time in history that aliens had willingly remained aboard a human vessel for more than a few minutes. When they finished discussing trade agreements, Telk addressed the larger issue. "The Galactic Council is impressed by humanity's response to this situation," he said. "Many species feared you would use your screaming ships as leverage in negotiations once you discovered their effect." "That would be unethical," Hana replied firmly. "We never intended to cause distress." "Your willingness to adapt speaks well of your species," Telk said. "The Council has officially recommended that all member races share relevant technology to help humans develop more comfortable ships." "We're grateful for the assistance," Hana said. "But we understand that our current technology still has advantages in certain situations." Telk's skin flickered slightly, the Ilarian equivalent of a knowing smile. "Yes, the fact that no hostile force could ever board a human vessel is not lost on the Council. It has actually increased respect for humanity in some circles." After the Ilarians departed, June, Hana, and Sook gathered in the captain's office to discuss the meeting. "It worked better than I expected," Sook admitted. "But the dampening fields are far from perfect. They consume enormous power and only reduce the effect, not eliminate it." "It's a start," Hana said. "Earth Command is satisfied with the results. They've already ordered the retrofitting of 10 more ships with these dampening chambers." "What about the rest of the fleet?" June asked. Hana's expression became more serious. "As we predicted, 2 classes of ships are being developed. Diplomatic vessels will have extensive dampening systems for hosting alien visitors. Military and cargo ships will maintain standard configurations, taking advantage of the defensive properties," June noted. "Yes," Hana acknowledged. "No species wants to face the possibility of boarding a human warship. The psychological barrier is too strong." 1 month later, June stood in the observation lounge of the Persistence, watching as a large passenger ship approached. It was the Harmony, the first human vessel specifically designed for interspecies transport. Its hull was covered with dampening field generators, and its FTL drive had been modified to reduce dimensional disturbances as much as possible without sacrificing function. Beside him stood Mina, who had been studying the psychological impacts of the dampening technology. "The Harmony can carry up to 50 non-human passengers comfortably," she explained. "It's slower than standard human ships and uses more power, but it's an important symbol of our commitment to cooperation." "And a good business opportunity," June added. "Earth is offering the only interspecies transport service that aliens can actually tolerate." "It's interesting how this has worked out," Mina said thoughtfully. 6 months ago, we were worried this discovery would harm humanity's position in the galaxy. Instead, it's given us unique advantages and opportunities." "The best of both worlds," June agreed. "Our military ships remain virtually impenetrable to boarding, while our diplomatic and commercial vessels become more welcoming." As they watched, The Harmony docked with the station across from them. Dozens of beings from different species carefully boarded, each one carrying a personal dampening device like the one Sook had designed. "We've come a long way," June said, "from being feared for reasons we didn't understand to finding solutions together." "There's still much to do," Mina reminded him. "The dampening technology is new and most human ships still cause discomfort to other species." "True," June agreed. "But we're making progress. And in an odd way, discovering this problem has brought us closer to understanding our galactic neighbors." That evening, June received a message from Captain Hana. The Persistence had new orders. As one of the first ships equipped with dampening field technology, they were to serve as Earth's flagship for diplomatic missions. Their first assignment, a journey to the Centaurian homeworld to finalize an agreement for sharing advanced dampening technology. In exchange, the Centaurians would receive human assistance with their asteroid mining operations. As June prepared for the mission, he thought about how much had changed since that first meeting with Ambassador Telk 6 months ago. The mystery had been solved, and solutions were being implemented. Humans and aliens were working together more closely than ever before. The accidental psychological barrier created by human FTL drives had not driven species apart as June had feared. Instead, it had led to new partnerships, technologies, and mutual respect. He smiled as he packed his things. The terrifying reason why every species refused to board human spacecraft had turned out to be the beginning of a deeper relationship, with the galaxy not the end. And June was proud to have been the one to discover it. Sometimes, he thought, the most frightening mysteries have the most hopeful solutions.